People might not have enough time to read the Quran or to learn about Islam, but they read you, they see you, they interact with you. Be truthful to your own identity and be kind towards another. Alhamdulillah, I am here in Ireland in the year 2023. I was here about 20 years ago. I like to make some comparisons between how it is now and how it was regarding the way Islam is understood and accepted or rejected in public life. Back then, about 20 years ago, I think what triggered the wave of people started paying interest to learn more about Islam, and of course, some of them decided to embrace Islam, was the event of September 11. September 11 was a very important event in history because United States and its allies launched anti-terrorism campaign globally, and it caused a lot of difficulties, especially for Muslims who live as minorities in the West, which is not something new. So during the first few months after the incident, our mosque was vandalized. I prefer to use the word vandalized rather than attacked. Some individuals threw bricks, rocks, shattered the window of our mosque. But then it changed. After several months, it turned 180 degrees to the other way around. People came to the mosque, individuals, small groups, big groups, almost every day to ask and to learn about Islam. What is Islam? I did ask some of the guests, what brought you to the mosque, just to understand, how the information moved. And some of them said, I tried to rephrase what the guests said at that time. They said, when the media, the television, radios, newspapers were very intense in highlighting the evil aspect of this religion, the threat that it brought, to this place, it created some sort of curiosity. There must be something about this religion. Why the people in politics, the people in power were so prejudiced towards this religion? We are educated. We can make up our own mind. And because of that, we try to find mosque. And when we find your place, we decided to come and to ask you about Islam. What is Islam? Who are Muslims? That also become like a lesson to me, how important for us to not to believe whatever we heard and always try to figure out, to go to the right people, to the right sources, to clarify, to verify whatever we heard from the media. So it was something like that back then. I had some challenging incidents or experiences back then. For example, when journalists from the mainstream medias came to interview me, asking me dangerous questions. Do you support Sharia? What do you think about so and so, things that happen in Palestine? It was very challenging because I did not have enough experience, but I tried to control the conversation. When they ask something, when the journalists ask something, I know that they already did their homework. They have some idea about something, but those ideas are not necessarily true. Always the standard approach I use is, whenever they wanted to talk about something, I will re-establish the definition of the topic. If you ask me, what do you support Sharia? Then I will not answer immediately, but I will ask you, can you explain to me first, what do you understand about Sharia? Then only I will respond if I agree or not, and will my response align with your understanding about Sharia in your definition. And I also had not a very good experience when there was an Arab priest came to the mosque harassing me. I have to use that word. He was unhappy because he said I spread propaganda to the community, made them left Christianity and became Muslim. And I said, no, that was never part of what I'm doing. I am here as the leader of my community to serve the Muslim community, to educate them about Islam, and I also welcome guests to come to the mosque. Yes, I have a degree in Islamic studies, in theology, in Sharia. Those are in one degree, not like 3 separate degrees. I learned a little bit about other religions, about Christianity, about Judaism, about Hinduism, Buddhism, as a topic in some of our subjects, but I have to admit that my understanding about other religions was very limited, and I won't concentrate on explaining other faiths to people. I will only respond to questions related to what I know, and that is about Islam. Even if there are things about Islam that I do not know, I will be very honest with them. I will try to find the answers and let us continue the discussion later on after I get the right information about it. There's nothing ashamed to admit that our knowledge is limited despite having a degree in Islamic studies. And that is very important to establish trust. So I said to the priest, I'm not here to spread propaganda. I am here to serve my community. And he said, stop spreading the religion of Saddam Hussein here. I was triggered at that time. Since when Saddam Hussein represents Islam and Muslims? There are millions of Muslims around the world who knew nothing about Saddam Hussein and never see Saddam Hussein as the one who represent them in any way. And if Saddam Hussein claims that he is the representative of Islam, that is his agenda. I don't want to get involved whatsoever. And then he said, you know nothing about that, you know nothing about what you say. I said, oh, I do understand and I know what I said. Because I was studying in Jordan 8 years, and I was in Jordan since 1993, right after the first attack of the Gulf War. He was surprised to know that I was a student in Jordan. So he asked, so do you speak Arabic? I said, yes, I speak Arabic. So he took a copy of Bible in Arabic and he gave to me aggressively, read this. I said, thank you, I will read it. And equally, because you are also an Arab who speaks and understands Arabic, I would also like to invite you to read the Quran if you haven't read the Quran. He was unhappy with that, and when he left the mosque, long story cut short, he said, be careful because I will always be watching you. I said, fine, but you also have to remember that Allah is always watching both of us. That's what I said to, to him. It's very important because I would like to put in a clear manner that someone like me who work in the office as the Minister of Religion, I only speak about what I know and explain what I can explain, because we need to be truthful and responsible with our knowledge. For those who come to the mosque, I always try to distinguish based on their motive. If they come to the mosque to learn about Islam just because they are curious to understand what is Islam, who are Muslims, so that they will feel more comfortable to coexist together with these new neighbors, then I will concentrate more on the similarities between Islam and Christianity and why there are so many similarities. Because from our point of view, Islam, Christianity, Judaism all came from the same source with the same message, but emerged from different era with different emphasization, but you will find a lot of similarities in these three Abrahamic religion. But if the guests come to the mosque with the motive of finding truth, because the person has conflicts about his faith or her faith, and he wants to understand what is the right one, he has some doubt about certain aspect of his faith, and he wants to know what does Islam say about this topic, then I will highlight the differences which make Islam different than Christianity despite coming from the same source. So that is how the SOP that I use as someone who had no previous experience. In year 2023, now, mashallah, I see so many people embrace Islam, and not just common people like us, but leaders, priests, celebrities, of course, social media influencers, and perhaps one of the recent ones was Andrew Tate, who embraced Islam. And it triggered a different wave. And this time, I can see the movement is very different because knowledge consumption is not happening passively, meaning that it's there for you to read, but you can also interact. There were many YouTubers react to videos produced by many different kind of people about Islam, and when they show some interest about Islam, there were like some kind of conversation between Muslim influencers, Muslim YouTubers, which is a good thing. But of course, I have some concern because many videos that went viral and popular for YouTubers to react, they were produced by Muslims who are enthusiastic about those topics, but not necessarily scholars in the subjects, and also some social media influencers. So I hope that all these Muslims continue to learn and improve and do what they are doing now, but not to position themselves as scholars, but try to invite those who ask them about topics to be discussed, to listen to less popular videos, less popular materials, books, articles, blogs, but more substantial. Because sometimes when there is a disagreement between two individuals on certain topic, I can remember how intense the discussion, for example, between Sonny and his mom, which I love watching their video a lot, had debates with Brother Ali Dawah regarding is Jesus God or not, about Son of God, and etc. I think at that time it is quite important for both sides to step back a little bit and to redefine terminologies. What does Islam mean with God? What is God in Islam and what is God in Christianity? Because sometimes we might use the same word, but we understand it totally differently. For example, in Islam, in Arabic, the word God, at least there are two major words that be used with same meaning, and that is Rabb and also Ilah. Both will be translated as God in English, but both has different context and different meaning, and it need to be understood. If we look into the first revelation, when the God himself, Allah, introduced himself to Muhammad for the first time, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I hoped non-Muslims are not annoyed when you keep listening. When the name Muhammad is mentioned, you will hear this phrase, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or peace be upon him, highlighted, because that is something very dear to Muslims. When they hear the name of Muhammad mentioned, they would say peace be upon him. It is possible for that phrase sallallahu alaihi wasallam not to be highlighted verbally too frequent, because it might distract people who do not understand from appreciating it the way we appreciate it. That's another topic. When Allah introduced himself for the first time to Muhammad, he did not introduce himself to Muhammad even with the name Allah, and also not as God to be worshipped, because that will come later. In the first revelation, the God introduced himself as God. And what does it mean by God? We look into the verse. So in that verse, Angel Gabriel brought the message to Muhammad. Allah said, Iqra bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq. Read in the name of your God who created. Read. So the first revelation was not about pray, was not about cover your head. It's not about, go into the battle, the war. No. The first thing is read, because what makes Islam significant is Islam is based on knowledge. We do not blind follow anything. Everything, anything in Islam can always be traced the origin, the source, why something is being done in certain way. It's always knowledge based. And reading is one way of possessing the knowledge. And reading does not necessarily mean Iqra. The word Iqra does not necessarily mean read from books, because in Arabic, the original understanding about the word Iqra is tatabbu al-ma'ani. You follow words, symbols, sounds that create meanings and bring understanding to you. So listening to someone and repeat what you listen can also be part of the Iqra process. That will be another thing as well. So read in the name of God. Someone might ask, oh, the name of God? Are you trying to bring me to become member of your community? You want me to join the Arab tribe? You want me to submit to your God, to the Arabs' God, to the Christians' God? Whose God? Someone might ask that kind of thing. So Allah said, read in the name of God, but not Arabs' God, but not any other people's God, not anyone's God. Read in the name of your God. So it is about establishing communication, relationship between you and your God. So it is free from any kind of indoctrination or brainwash. It doesn't involve anyone else. It's only between you and your own God. Someone might ask, my God? What do you mean by my God? Who is this God? I don't believe in any specific God. So this is where it is very important. In that verse, Allah said, read in the name of your God, the one who created. So Allah introduced himself as the creator. You should build relationship with me not because I am the God for no reason. You should establish your relationship with me as the God. I am the only God because I am the creator. The reason why you should only worship me later on, the only reason why I am the only God to you is because you were created by me. So at that stage, God is 100% associated with the fact that he is the creator. So if you accept that you are created and there is a creator who created you, and that is the God. That is the God which later on you understand his name is Allah. So what you need to figure out is at first, do you accept that you are created? Do you accept that everything exists around you? Something that has a creator who created them all. This need to be sorted out first. And that is why in the Quran, you will find a lot of information, scientific information that explain the phenomena of this world. It was never meant to be a book of science. And some of the information took more than 1,000 years for us to understand better, even in that first revelation, because in the second verse Allah say, Khalaqal insana min alaq, the one who created human from the hanging blood clot. 1,400 years ago, people knew nothing about what happened in the womb, what happened in the tummy of a pregnant lady. If we read about the history of pregnancy, the understanding of pregnancy in Europe, you will see people were in total darkness because they just they didn't have the facilities, the technology to scan and to see what's happening inside the womb. So they don't know how it was, how human being at its first stage, but it was there in the Quran. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained to us a lot of scientific phenomena, not because Allah wanted to present Al-Quran as a book of science, but because you can understand a lot of the worldly phenomena in many different ways. How do you figure out that the sun has his own light and the moon is reflecting light from other source? You figure out yourself through many different ways, but come back to the Quran and you see, before all these technologies you are using today to discover this phenomena, someone explained accurately in the Quran about it. Because the one who created the sun, who created the moon, who created the water, who created the animals, and every single thing in this world that we know and what we do not know is also the one who is calling you to worship him. So there's only one entity deserve to be believed as God, and that is the creator, and his name is Allah. So other than him, all are created ones. So all the prophets, Adam, Noah, Abraham, Moses, Jacob, including Jesus and also Muhammad, from Muslims' point of view, they are all human. They are not gods. Sometimes these prophets had some unusual events. They can raise people from dead. They can split the moon, but that did not make them God. Because all these phenomena in Islam known as miracles, something that is given to them with the will and permission from God, meaning that they cannot do it from their own will except with the permission from God, to become the evidence of the truthfulness of their message. But that did not make them God, just because they can do something that normal people cannot do. So that is where Islam might draw the line, making it different than other faith in dealing with something abnormal or superstitious. Even Jesus was born without a father, like Adam, who came to existence without a father and a mother. So all these exceptions is also to show that the Creator, Allah, created all this world with specific rules. We might call it as law of nature, but Allah did not limit himself to tie how things works based on the rules that he himself made. So he can allow some exceptions to happen. And when it happened to prophets, the prophets had miracles. They did not turn into God. So these kind of things need to be explored a little bit. I also emphasize about all these things with my children. It's very important for them to understand in the context of ourselves living here in Ireland that what make God God, not because we worship God and because of that God become our God. Because if we think in that way, God is God, Allah is our God because we worship him, that can lead to confusion, thinking that God is man-made. So if you worship Allah or not, Allah is still your God because he created you. If you worship him, you know him, you have relationship with him, you are blessed to have the relationship with the one who created you. But if you deny God, you don't care about God, you just live on your own way, Allah is still your God because he is still the one who created you. So hopefully all the new things that are happening around these days will continue to flourish in the positive way. If someone embraces Islam, that does not mean the person turn into non-human. He or she should even become a better person, to respect their parents even more, to be more kind, to be more calm, to be more respectful. And I think I will end this video by saying especially like a message to fellow Muslim brothers and sisters. If you want to deliver a message, be the message. People might not have enough time to read the Quran or to learn about Islam, but they read you, they see you, they interact with you. Be truthful to your own identity and be kind towards another, inshallah. Thank you so much.